Hi, I'm Brynley from the Pelham Public Library, and today I'm going to teach teens how to embroider face masks. Hi everybody, today I am going to teach you how to embroider masks using 3 simple stitches. Here is what you will be getting in your kit from the library. A black mask for you to embroider. 2 skeins of embroidery floss, a needle, and a piece of chalk. The first thing you're going to do is cut your embroidery floss arm's length. Then you're going to take each piece of floss and divide it in half. So each of the flosses that you have are actually 6 strands of floss, and you're going to divide that into half so that you're working with 3 strands each. Next, you're going to knot the end of your thread. So you're going to tie 2 knots over top of one another to create a larger knot so that the embroidery floss does not go through the material of your mask. Then you're going to thread your needle. This is something I can try to explain. I wet mine a little bit, hold it very close between my finger and my Peter pointer, and try to push the eye of the needle through. And then it's attached. You've already got a knot in the other end, so now we're ready to start our first stitch. First I'm going to do is take the chalk and draw a circle because I'm going to stitch a sun. The chalk is just to help you draw your designs onto your fabric so that you've got a template to follow. And I'm going to show you how to do a satin stitch or filling in objects. So you're going to come up through your fabric at the bottom and up to the top to outlining where you're going to fill in. You're going to continue this all the way through until your shape has been fully filled in, and I will demonstrate here with the rest of the sun. It's a very simple stitch. You can go over your stitches if you would like to get it very, very densely filled in, or you can do it a little bit looser so that you can see the material behind. That's what I wanted to do here with my sun. And as long as you're following the pattern, you should be able to fill in whatever object you've drawn. Next, to finish this off, you are going to put your needle under one of the stitches on the back and then thread it through the loop that you have made to form a knot. I like to do this twice on all of my work just so that I know that it's secure in place. Give it a tug and you're good to go. Snip off the excess from both the tail and the top, and you've got 2 little knots. And you'll see that I've made a relatively quick circle. I have also done a heart using the same method of the satin fill-in. And I've made a much smaller sun on this mask, and you can see that I've done that same fill-in stitch. Okay, next I'm going to take my green embroidery floss and I'm going to divide it into two like I showed you previously, so that you've got 3 strands to work with and to thread through the eye of your needle. Again, your piece of embroidery floss should be about an arm's length. You should have plenty of floss to use. I don't imagine that your images will be that big. Again, you're going to double knot, one knot over the other so that it doesn't pull through your material. I apologize that it's not in focus. And then, like I showed you before, I'm just going to thread the green floss through the eye of my needle. The next stitch I'm going to show you is called a back stitch. You're going to come up through the bottom of your material and create a smaller stitch than you did in the fill-in stitch that you did above. I'm going to be making the stem of a flower here. So I'm going to put another stitch up just about the same amount of space from the previous stitch and continue that up until I get to where I would like the top of my stem to be. This stitch that I'm showing you here is just a basic running stitch. It's something that you might already know how to do, and it's very simple. Once I've decided how tall I would like my stem to be, I'm going to come in through the bottom of the last stitch that I made, pull my thread up and insert it in the top of the next stitch to basically fill in the stem so that it looks like one complete stem. This is called a back stitch, where you go and you fill in the spaces in between your initial stitches to create a line. And there's my stem of my flower. I'm going to add some grass to my flower, and I'm just going to do a basic running stitch, just different sizes to make different lengths of grass. I chose this flower and grass just because it's springtime. I thought that that would be really neat, but you can do whatever you would like in terms of your design. And like with the previous stitch, you're just going to sew underneath some of the stitches, put your needle and your thread through the loop to make a knot. And there's the grass and the stem of our flower. You can see that I did that here with the back stitch making the stem, and just a simple running stitch to make the grass on the mask that I stitched before. I'm going to take my pink embroidery floss. I've already divided it in half into the 3 strands, and I'm going to continue by making 2 knots, one on top of one another. And then I'm going to thread my needle with the pink embroidery floss. The last stitch I'm going to do is the Lazy Daisy stitch. It's a bit trickier than the first two I've shown you, but I will talk you through the first couple and then just show you as we go. So you're going to find where the center of your flower is, and you're going to bring the needle up through the back. Then you're going to use your thumb and you're going to hold the thread that you've pulled up through the front, and you're going to take your needle and you're going to go down into the same area that you came up in. Now, don't pull too quickly or too hard. This is how you're going to make your petal, and you're going to use your thumb to hold the floss into the size of the petal that you would like. Okay, next you're going to come up from the bottom at the end of the petal. You're going to come up. Again, don't pull hard, otherwise your flower petal will not keep its shape. Then you're going to go just on the other side of the embroidery floss and make a little stitch to hold it in place. I'll talk you through it one more time. Come up through the center of the flower. Use your thumb to hold the embroidery floss down. Go back down through the center. Don't pull too tight. And use your thumb to really help guide you for how big you want your petal to be. Then you're going to come up through the end of the petal. And you're going to make a small stitch on the other side of the embroidery floss to hold it in place. You can make as many petals as you would like. You can use this same stitch, this Lazy Daisy stitch, to do a border around your mask. It's really up to you and your creativity and what you're interested in doing. I'm going to show you how to do the back stitch again so that you can write a word or a letter. I'm going to show you how to do the letter B because that's the first initial of my name, but you can write a word like I did on the previous mask, or you can write your name or a saying or whatever you would like. So this is the basic back stitch again. You're going to first start making the basic shape using a running stitch. So there's going to be a space between each of your stitches. Okay, then you're going to start filling in the spaces between the stitches with another stitch. Just come up from the bottom and down through the top to fill in the space. This is where having your chalk line comes in very handy. All you need to do is follow your chalk line, and then at the end take a damp cloth and wipe away the chalk. And there you go. You have used the back fill stitch to create a letter, or like I did here, a word. I hope you've learned a little bit about the stitches that I used today, and I hope that you create gorgeous embroidered masks for yourself using the stitches that I taught you. Please make sure to post pictures if you can. I would love to see the creations that you've made.